and welcome to episode 26 of the Plot Twist podcast. My name is Katharina Catherine. I am coming to you from the north of Germany, no longer from Berlin because we recently moved. And this is where I now live with my husband and our 3 kids in the countryside. And yeah, this is where I live and knit, and where we have experienced our first Christmas and New Year's and so on and so forth, which I might, if I have the time, get into a little bit later. I wanted to record in the week leading up to Christmas and then in the week leading up to New Year's, but we were sick. So we got COVID again, and first me and then my husband. So it wasn't too bad, but I mean, we were okay, but it was just, we were just sick. So there was knitting time, but no recording time, really. So I'm back now. Happy New Year to everyone. And let me jump right into the things that I finished, because you will have seen me knit on these in my second vlog in December. And I remember saying when I had cast these socks on for my oldest son, who is 8, that these won't have a super long leg because I'm just going to knit them up to here. That's going to be that. I was wrong, because he demanded, or not demanded, but asked for another pair of what we call rain boot socks. So they were supposed to go up to his knees, so that he wouldn't be as cold in his rain boots, which makes sense, right? So, and I've knit him a pair in the past, which you will have seen, a few videos ago. And now he selected this very colorful yarn in a local store in the beginning of December, I think, or at the very end of November, it may have been. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And this is very in your face. I don't know. Neon. It's just a neon color with these sort of weird white fluffs on it. I hope that you can see it. With so it's like a tweed yarn, but it's as if snow has just landed on the sock. I don't really know what to make of it, because it's a bit of a weird look, if I'm honest, but he loves it. He keeps saying he wants a sweater out of this, but I'm not sure I want this for my eyes. And also it's not a job I can accomplish just right now. So he got the socks, which he really wanted to have, but it was all right that I knit the leg so much longer, because this yarn just knits up like crazy. What is this now? This is Lang. So like a German commercial sock yarn. It's a 6-ply. If you want to know the exact colorway, go look it up on my Ravelry account, which I'm linking below the video, just like my Instagram and everything else. So, because now I don't know and I don't have the ball band with me, but these are the 2 socks, and he absolutely loves them. We made a fitting as I went, so he tried them on as I went. I think I increased at some point for the leg, or decreased rather for the foot. Yeah, I can see it here. I decreased twice, like about here and here. So yeah, to slim down for the ankle, and then just knit a sock. So yeah, what I wanted to say is that the 6-ply knits up so fast. I think I knit the second sock in a matter of 2.5 days. Yeah. And not like whole days, but I could finish the second sock within 2.5 days, with little knitting time here and there, and then in the evening, during the holiday break, right? Yeah. So these are pretty recent. And then Chelsea Makes, or Chelsea of Legacy Fiber Arts, however you want to put it, she's doing a Frog or Finish make along with her Patreon or with her Twitch channel. I don't know if it's Patreon specific. And she inspired me to pick up an older project as opposed to casting on something new. And so after I finished those socks, I went on to knit on these, right here. So this is another pair of rain boot socks, but for my daughter. You will also have seen these in the past. These are super scrappy. I hope you can see this. They're just all over scrappy, with different commercial sock yarn scraps that I had in my stash. And I mean, I've talked about those before, but now I don't know how many I cast on. Again, it will be on my Ravelry page. I want to say 52. I don't remember. These may have been 52. Oh yeah, by the way, I knit those neon socks on, I think on a 2.5mm needle, cast on 52 stitches, and then as I decreased down twice, went down to 48 and finished the entire foot and the heel and the foot and the entire sock with 48 stitches. But for those, I'm not so sure. These would definitely knit on 2.25mm needles, which translates into a US size 1. And I cast on however many stitches, that again will be on my Ravelry page, went with a tubular cast on, went with a 1x1 rib for, I don't know, 14 rounds or something like that. And then I switched to a 3x1 rib and went with a contrasting color for 10 rounds, and then like this sort of main color that I used for the cuffs and for the heel for 5 rounds. And then I kept going like 10, 5, 10, 5. And I tried it on her so that I stopped when I was at the right length, because I was surprisingly bad at eyeballing it. And maybe you can tell that I used the same scraps for the same sort of stripes, for the same stripes. So this is one ball of yarn. This was from one ball of yarn, as was this. This was the first one again. Those are identical, those, even though they look so different on here, but I think it still kind of catches that same vibe. So even if the socks are super scrappy, they do sort of match and look like they belong together, right? And then I ended with that same ball of yarn, and I ran out of this purple. I'm very happy that I did, because I really don't like having a tiny leftover of a project like this, right? And then I had to fill in with this red yarn down here that I also had like tiny scrap of, that I couldn't finish up entirely, however. And then here I had to fill in this darker purple, but due to the scrappy nature of this project, you don't even really see it, right? I mean, it doesn't strike you. And then the tips, the toes, I knit those out of another kind of scrap yarn, use the same one. So that's the entire project. She's super happy with those socks. Both of those pairs have not been washed or blocked yet, so that still has to happen. That's how freshly cast off they are. Then I cast on something for myself out of a beautiful yarn that I got gifted by my friend Claire in her Christmas package for this year. We did a different sort of advent calendar swap, where we did 4 Sundays of Advent instead of 1 mini every day. And this was so we had like 4 topics sort of picked out for those different Sundays. One was 2 full skeins. So in one gift, there were 2 full skeins, and that's one of them. It's now skeined up, obviously, so but maybe you can see the gorgeous color. You're going to see it knit up too in a second, and I'm going to tell you what it is. So it's Circus Tonic Handmade, which is always a treat, in her Jubilee sock base, which consists of 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the colorway is Saint-Germain-des-Prés. So that's the colorway, and that's what I'm making with it. Listen to that. I have one DPN cozy. I'm not a super DPN knitter, but I started out as one, and whenever I ran out of other needles, I grab my DPNs no matter, no problem. So, and when I could click this DPN Cozy and unclick it the entire, like all day long. I love the sound. Sorry if you don't like it now, that's going to be hard on your ears. And also the feel of, it clicking back together. So in this DPN Cozy lives my project that I'm currently working on, which is knit out of this, oh, maybe that's too close, out of this very beautiful yarn. I hope you can see just how pretty and, well, yes, variegated and speckled, but not busy this yarn is, right? It is very, like, it feels very luxurious, even if it's just like your regular sock base, but it feels very nice and very soft. And I'm knitting leg warmers for myself because I have to say I really need them. It is so cold in the house, and I mean, even if we do turn the heating on, I'm also maybe not wearing the warmest pants in the house. Like, often I run around in leggings, so I need something in terms of a leg warmer, and I thought, perfect, that might be a good project for 100 grams of fingering weight yarn, so I don't have like a half a skein of yarn left over after I've knit 2 socks, because I will just knit a super long leg. And yeah, and that's what I'm doing. And I knit up to a certain point, which is about almost, like, say about 20 centimeters into the sock I wanted to say, into the leg, including the cuff. I started increasing, well, 2 stitches every 15 rounds, and that's what I'm marking off here with my stitch markers, and that's just kind of my row counter so that I keep track of where I am. So I put it at 10 rows, and then I know I have to go another 5 for the next round of increases, so that it will fit over my calf. Is that the right word? So that there's going to be an increase in the leg of the leg warmer as there is an increase in the actual human leg, That's very weird, but maybe you know what I mean. So there just have to be increases, and that's what I'm doing. That's all I'm trying to say. I cast on, I think, 60 stitches. Yeah. On a, what are you? I think this is a 2.5, or is it a 3 millimeter needle? And I'm going to weigh the yarn so that I can split it in half. I weighed it in the beginning and wrote down how many grams it were. It was 107, I remember. But if I don't write it down, I will not remember. And I will stop at, I don't know, when I've used up 52, so that I have a little bit of a buffer. And it's a mindless project, also sometimes a little bit boring to knit on because there's really nothing going on in there except for the increases. But I do really want to wear them, and I love the colorway. And this is living in my, my Fringe supply bag, which, sadly they're no longer being produced, but I've had this for years. This was one of the first project bags that I got gifted by my husband, and it has my little pins on it, which is all the pins that I have, no, but one, except for one. I still have my Christmas jingly one here. I haven't taken it off yet. And that's that. That's my work in progress. Another thing that I've been working on over the holidays is my second iteration of the Marled Magic shawl by Stephen West. And now, excuse the crumply nature of this project and like all the ends sticking out. They will all only be gone once I've blocked this, except for those that you're supposed to like braid together at the end. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, either look up the project, which I'm linking below, or my first iteration of the shawl, which I can link below, or just look at Everybody's Beautiful Shawls that you can find on Ravelry or on Instagram or wherever it is that you look up stuff. Well, now this is kind of weird now, but that's what I have. So that was the first panel. This was the second, which I had started up until here, and then I finished. God, this is a mess. I finished this over Christmas. Hope you can see something. Right? It's a lot of fun to knit. Comes across very stripy. Such a joy to knit though. I remember this as being my favorite section on the first shawl that I knit, on the first Modeled Magic. And then this is technically section number 4, but I really wanted to knit it, those two colorways together. And so I just did, because I thought, doesn't matter. I know where section 3 goes, I think here, to like close off this tip. So it's not in the way. And I could just as easily, you know, switch those two. So I did, because I really wanted to use up this dark blue and that I held double with this one colorway that I still had from one of the advent calendars of Molly of a Homespun House. And that's what it looks like. I hope you can see. I think these two colors go brilliantly together, because she has these like purples and pinks in there, but also a little bit of green, a little bit of peachy color, which I'm not super, you know, I'm not a fan of peachy, and there's blue in there, but I think this dark blue ties it together so perfectly. Like, I really love this section. Here I held those colors together, like I held them triple. So 2 strands plus 1 strand of a light pink mohair. And I was a little bit, well, disappointed, I want to say. Here you can see them together. I hope you can. How the light pink made everything look a little brown. I didn't love that, but I left it as it was. Oh, my kids are coming home. I have to check in later. Bye. So hi, I'm back. Same spot, same sweater, different day. The next day, I brought my little bag with me. My Notion, no, not my Notions bag, my project bag with my leg warmers, so that I can work on them as I chat to you, if that is something that I can accomplish, you know. And I want to share some stats with you for the year 23. I'm not a huge stats person, but I just felt inspired while, you know, with watching other podcasters and other formats where people talked about like how many projects they finished and how much yardage they've used, or I don't know why. And I thought, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but I just looked at Ravelry, because you can, and I only just figured that out, you can sort by year of, you know, projects completed in the year 2023. And then I saw what all I completed in that year. And by the way, I realized that I am sort of two-faced. Sorry about that. It's just such a murky day. It's all that I can do with the situation in hand. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I looked at what I had, that like the sort of projects that I had, not like yardage and whatnot, but so I will not go into much detail is what I'm saying, but I just thought it was interesting, because I wouldn't have thought. I thought I had knit different things. It's weird sometimes. I realized I wanted to share another work in progress with you, but it's also sort of an FO. I will explain. The yarn that I'm still, you know, going to knit up, or the scraps that I will use for this project, not entirely, I'm assuming, but you know, parts of it live in this bag from my former local yarn store in Berlin, 1 million. I love this golden sheep on here. I hope you can see it, which is sort of their logo. And the project that I'm talking about is a Christmas tree ornament. And I don't get into the mood of knitting like Christmas decorations in terms of like ornaments and stuff, or crocheting them before Christmas, but always at Christmas and then after. So from like maybe the 22nd onwards of December until the end of January, or maybe even the middle of February, I'll be knitting Christmas stuff like Christmas socks or ornaments or whatnot. And that has actually proven to be quite good because, I mean, it served me well in the past because then I could stock up on some little things that I would hang on a present as a sort of decoration, or I would knit like ornaments that were a bit more, well, intricate that I could then gift the following year, or I could just make some for myself and my family and then, you know, thank myself 11 months later when I would unpack the box and be like, oh yay, I knit those, and you know, have all of this new fresh handmade decoration to put out and so on, you know. And so that's why I really lean into this urge now to make these little ornaments. And it's also really fun to use up a whole lot of scraps, and it's just such a cute project. I'll leave the link for the pattern and for my project page, both of those below for you, so that you can you know, find the pattern. It looks like this. No ends are woven in now. I don't have any ends woven in. This, with the last bit of yarn, I pulled a loop and tied a knot and made a little hanger. I will have to weave in those two ends, but just ignore them for now and look at it. This is a little Christmas tree, and I don't know if you see because the camera doesn't usually pick it up, but it sparkles silver. It's a silver stellina red, and I thought that is very festive. Maybe you can see that. It's very sparkly. And then this is where I ran out of yarn. I knit, this is the front. It's not actually, well, it just looks much better, this side. I knit one in very old stash yarn / scrap yarn. And then I had a little left over from an advent calendar and my blanket. So I made a few of those. I saw on Instagram that someone had knit like a little garland of these tiny ones and fingering weight yarn, and they were all like really flashy colors. And I thought, this is such a Grinchy colorway. The Grinch isn't a thing in Germany. So, but I thought it kind of fits. And that person had like a lot of neon colors in there and like really speckled hand-dyed yarns. And that looked really cool. And I thought that could be such a cool Christmas garland to go for once in my life, move away from the traditional, you know, red, green, white, or gold or silver, whatever Christmas palette, which I really like, but to, you know, just go a little crazy, use up those leftovers and flashier colors, like this little single ply neon yellow with orange and pink and peach specks in it. See how that's so cute? I love this colorway. I've knit this up in my blanket. It was a part of an advent calendar as well, and it's a neon color, but it's also like, for a neon color, it's very subtle, so I really love that. So that's going into the same garland as the little green one. I have one of these. This was my first one, so I think I'm going to re-knit this because I knit the decreases a bit wrong. My knit two togethers were leaning in the wrong direction, believe it or not. Then I have a bunch of these purple ones. And the same in this white color. So I'm using all sorts of different yarn weights with the respective needle sizes. and they will not all go in the same garland. Some will end up on gifts as a sort of decoration. Others will, I don't know, live a different kind of life. I'll get to that when I, by next Christmas, but or when I start wrapping Christmas gifts. But maybe I'll make a different garland, like for instance out of this yarn. So these are much bigger. This is a very airy, light yarn that I've made several sweaters, the carousel sweater or cardigan, I can link it for you, for my kids, and they were beautifully, that hardly pills. It is super light. They love to wear it. I think it is pretty warm, and it was just a joy to knit. It really was. It's a commercial yarn. I don't now remember which, but it will be on my project page, or I'm going to write it in the show notes. And so I made a bunch of those. And because I now only have scraps, and I always thought I was going to knit another one of those sweaters for them, but I never did. And now I won't. It's just not, I think that's been the time for those cardigans was when they were smaller. There's one that still fits my daughter, who's turning 3 in 2 days. But yeah, as they get older, I'm gonna knit them different things. Anyway, then so that's my sort of ongoing Christmas tree project. This is the same yarn in green. I have it in blue, as you can see here. That is my blue yarn, and that is obviously not a Christmas tree. It's a different pattern. This is crocheted by Two of Wands. I don't know her name, but so the Instagram account Two of Wands, and she has a free tutorial for these stars, which I can also link down below for you. So that would be the blue color. I also have this pretty red. So you can see this is a more traditional sort of Christmas palette, right? And I made a bunch of those stars, and as they curl in on themselves, I also put these on gifts already this Christmas, or also, and that was fun, when we also gave our kids vouchers sort of for experiences, right? So one is my husband's going to build something with them, something that they want to have, and they will, purchase all the wood and stuff and do that. And another, I forget now, some activity that we gave them that we're going to do that together. And so I wrote them a card, I put them in an envelope that I had made, and then I tied yarn around that and attached, one of those stars, and a little tag that said who the gift was for, and that looked really pretty. So yeah, that's sort of what I do with that. But I was interrupting myself. I was in the middle of a different sentence. Does this ever happen to you? Because it happens all the time to me. What was I telling you? I don't remember. Oh, I do remember. These were, when they're off your hook, they kind of curl in on themselves like a spider. And so what I did is I soaked them, but with what I think it's enough to spray water on them, and put them on like a small towel, on like a guest towel, and then pinned them down with these T-pins and let them dry. And I think I sprayed them again a little bit. I don't know that you have to, but to have the yarn learn that it's supposed to stay flat. And that worked. I thought it was going to be too gentle, but that was enough. And the Christmas trees will also be blocked, but I will just pin them down, and just so they don't curl, like their shape is straight and they will not sort of bend inwards. And I will just pin them down and then spray a little water on them. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not even going to soak them. That's too much of a hassle. And if I string them on the garland, they will automatically behave. If I put them on the present, it's going to do the job, right? The trick, you know what I mean. And then I found, because I put all of those together in one box where I can collect, the individual finished objects, before I will sit down in, I don't know, November and do something with them. And I found that I have snowflakes, I don't know, this color might be a little dark, that I've crocheted in the past after a YouTube tutorial, and I'm sorry, but I don't remember which one. It's been years. But they're really fun and pretty. And then I've crocheted these little ornaments last year because I wanted to make like a snowflake garland or several that go downwards instead of, you know, what's the word? Vertically instead of horizontally, that you can put in front of a window or something, but I never ended up making it up. But there are these fun little guys. And then, oh, there's the lighter one out of the unknown pattern from years before. I did not pin this down. It was quite intricate, I have to say, but it was fun. And I remember the guy who made the video was called Mikey. Maybe the crocheters out there are immediately like, I know Mikey, but I remember that's his name. I'll try and find the pattern or the tutorial and I'll link it for you. And so my scraps that I still want to use up, for instance, are like this fun colorway from Homespun House. I think it's last year's advent calendar. The year before. I don't think I got it last year. Yeah, the year before. So not last year, but I mean, last year for me is still 22. So 2021 is the year that I got this. So anyway, this is from whatever, how many years ago, but yeah. So 3 Christmases ago. And that's the one that I have in production now. Okay. And so I'm gonna work on this sometimes in the evenings when I sit down and I have like half an hour and I know that's when I'm going to go to bed. And then it's fun to finish something or even cast on and finish because those are super quick. And I have other little scraps in there, but you've seen them. So more of the same yarn. And then I have this flashy green yarn that my son that I used for my son's socks. And I'm also going to knit a few Christmas trees out of that one, if only to make a hanger on his gift. But yeah. Okay. And so I haven't talked about mending over the last few videos that I put up. And it's not because I haven't mended things, but just because I think my mind has been someplace else. And also pre-move, I didn't at some point mend many things anymore because I had packed up almost all of our things except for the things that I really used on a daily basis. And my little sewing bucket was still out for the longest time. I packed that up maybe 5 days before the move. So I could always mend little things and I did that. But those items didn't really feel worth mentioning or I forgot. And now that we're here, I haven't unpacked my sewing machine yet. So like bigger things have not been done yet. But I have mended just today. It was a super quick mend, like, I don't know, a 7-minute mend, something like that. I mended a hole in my husband's sock. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that, but it didn't take a long time at all. And I keep mending socks like a crazy person for my oldest son, especially because for some reason he comes home with a hole in his socks almost every day. I don't know how he does that, but it's what it is. And so long as it makes sense, I will mend those. I will darn those. And so I'm talking store-bought cotton socks, not hand-knit socks. And jeans. They're my kids' pants that need a patch every now and then, or like something comes undone. I don't know. And I think there are some bigger project. I mean, as compared to a tiny little hole that needs to be mended, which will, require me to unpack my sewing machine, which is absolutely okay. I know where it is. I can do it. I just haven't yet. I just haven't, gotten myself to walk upstairs and get the machine, come back downstairs, and so. Yeah, that's going to happen, I don't know, sometime over the next weeks, probably. But all of that to say, things are accumulating and I work through them, even if I don't mention them here, but I do want to mention them more. And I did think about how, not last year, but like the year before, in 2022, I kept talking during Advent about mending things, and I wanted to inspire you to also think of what you have, what you can repair in all areas of your life, not just like a sock with a hole, but also like different things like items in your kitchen or I don't know what, that people feel inspired to repair and mend and reuse and or upcycle or whatever, instead of only buying new, because Christmas is such a I wish for this and that season, where you want everything new. And I mean, there is a case to be made for like good purchases, right? But often, and I can speak from experience, I'm no different. Like often something breaks and we're like, oh man, I want a new one. I'm getting a new one. And don't even really think about how to repair it, or if it can be repaired, or whether you know someone who would, bother, or whether you could actually wish for that. Can you come over and fix that for me for Christmas, And this year I didn't at all talk about it, and it felt sort of incomplete, because I think Christmas season is always a little bit decluttering season for us, because I know with a handful of new toys coming in, I want a handful of toys going out so that we can still keep it manageable, which isn't to say that my kids got so many presents. They really didn't. And this year was special because right after the move, we didn't really declutter because we haven't even unpacked everything yet, and also because we did a whole lot of decluttering before the move, because that makes sense. But, and so yes, there is the focus on the new, but there is also the focus on letting go of the old. And then there should be, I think, the focus on things that are somewhat in between those two, right? So things that can be fixed, that can still be in circulation, that can still be appreciated and loved and be valuable. So I didn't really talk about that much this year or at all. And maybe next year that will be a stronger emphasis. Oh, this year. Oh man. This year, so the upcoming Advent season, it will be a bit more of a focus for me, I'm assuming. So now I will quickly talk to you about my stats, a few things that I wrote down. And like I said, I typed into, or I put the filter in, I love this sound, Ravelry, items finished in 2023. And what I got was, I think, 35 finished projects. I'm not focused on the number though, because it really doesn't matter to me. And sometimes I feel like when podcasters say, I finished, I don't know, like a crazy number, like 75 items this year. I feel like people will get a sort of a comparison hangover, and that isn't to say the podcasters should not say what they made, right? It's up to me to respond in a different way then. And I'm not saying I get comparison hangover. It's just that for me, the number doesn't matter as much. But then I'm not a number person, really. I'm not a stats person. I'm not someone who writes down numbers for everything. I'm just not. So there is no judgment in this when I say this, but like for me, it doesn't matter how many projects, as long as they've brought me joy and kept me busy and helped me be more focused and relaxed and present. That's what my knitting is for. So, and then I don't care how many things I finished. But what I found surprising was when I went through my finished objects of the year, like what sorts of projects they were. Because there were 2 sweaters that I finished, and I know one of them was the Wool and Honey that was almost finished. I only had to knit the sleeves, and the other was started from scratch. So yeah, that was a good project because that was a lot of fun. So that I'm talking about my I'm gonna link it for you. I'm talking about my sweater that I knit out of just top down raglan that I knit out of the Hedgehog Tweety. That was so fun. It's so amazing to wear. But I think of myself as such a sweater knitter, and then this year, those were the only sweaters that I knit, so this last year. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I want to focus slightly, without pushing myself, but just focus a little bit more on sweater knitting this year, and pull out some of those sweater quantities that I have stashed up upstairs and stashed up that I have in my stash, and also finish at least, well, actually not one, but like 2 of the sweaters that I have on my needles. I don't know that I have many more on my needles, but I can now off the top of my head think of 2, and I really want to get those off my needles. It's just that they're a bit of a hassle, so I have never been in that brain space over the last months. But I'm positive that sometime this year I will get back to, my center a bit more, and then I'll be able to tackle those, and they'll be there waiting for me. It's no biggie, but I just want to make sweaters a bit more. And then I want to cast on another Velicore by Andrea Maurer because I have the yarn ready for it. I've knit it before. It was just the complete wrong colors for me, so I gave it to a friend, and that isn't a super long knit, so that's fun. I really want to do that because it's a vest. It doesn't have sleeves, and then there was something else I was planning on casting on, like another sweater. Oh, there are so many sweaters I'm planning on casting on in my mind, so it doesn't matter. But I want to, with intention and without pushing myself, but to just focus a little bit more on sweater knitting this year. So, and then I have made 5 amigurumi. That was absolutely unheard of because I'm not a big crocheter, because it just hurts my shoulders so much. One good night of crocheting and I will have a tension headache the next day. So, yeah, unfortunately, because I think it's a lot of fun. I would crochet much more, but, yeah, that's the way it is, at least for now. Maybe it'll change in the future. But so that was interesting to me that I made 5 amigurumi because I remember how I had to space it out so that I wouldn't crochet on them for, like I wanted to, for hours at a time, or even 1 hour at a time. But I had to really stop myself after 20 minutes. I put it away, and that was fun. But the finished objects, they were fun and well loved by the 3 girls that they went to. 5. Oh, hold on. It was 5 items for 5 kids. Yes. All in my immediate, circle. So that was cool. And they all really, really appreciated and loved them. I made 2 headbands. Yeah, sure. That's a classic for me. And they're both in rotation. Yeah, they're both in rotation. I enjoy headbands a lot. I made 2 shawls, which is a thing to be noted because I'm not a huge shawl knitter anymore. I used to be, and I think I just don't need that many shawls. But the project, no, hold on, again, if you've been here for a while, these 2 words are always wrong. So the progress is a lot of fun. It's just that I don't really need many shawls anymore. I don't even get to wear the ones that I have all the time, which is, or even every season every winter, but that is also to do with just the season of life that I'm in. So if I wasn't running around and after my kids all the time, I would have more time on my hands to style those shawls. And I know this time will come back, so that's okay. That it doesn't bother me, but I'm just not a big shawl knitter now. But sometimes they're just so much fun to knit. And also I have 2 on my needles because they're perfect stash busters often. So yeah, I've made 2 half and half minis. Oh yeah, the half and no, hold on. Yeah, so my half and half triangles wrap is one of the shawls. So it's actually a blanket or 2 shawls or something like that. So a big one. And then I made 2 half and half minis for like decorative purposes. They're not tiny. They're like this wide. One is slightly smaller, one slightly bigger. I made around 8 dishcloths early in the year, so I don't really recall. 1 hat just recently for my goddaughter. 1 shrug also just recently. 3 scrunchies, the 3rd of which I finished on Christmas Day. No, so our like Christmas Eve, so our Christmas when we celebrate, because it was to be gifted that night or that afternoon. And I finished in time. And then the thing that really blows my mind is I finished 12 pairs of socks, and I have pairs on my needles, and I'm far into the projects. Like it's not only I have knit the first cuff or something like that, but all of those sock projects that I have on my needles are over 50% done for sure. So I'm like, what is going on? I remember for months last year thinking, well, my sock mojo hasn't come back yet. What's happening there? And now I know that among those 12 pairs of socks, there are 3, definitely 2 really larger ones, again, where I knit the leg super long for my boys so that it would go up to their knees. And I know that there was not a shorty sock that I knit, I don't think. And not that it would be, better or worse. It's just that there was a lot of knitting in those socks. And I wonder, but that I think was my stress knitting. And that was my safety blanket, and my tension release. You know what I mean? So that I could always knit on those socks and it would be so mindless. And I know that I talked on here forever about how it was just such a mindless project, and I could go on autopilot and you can wake me up in the middle of the night and I know exactly where I am, and that is true. So yeah, that will have been it. But I was really surprised when I saw this, because that is something. I mean, if my socks are my stress knitting and they comfort me, then I think I should knit all the socks in the world, so long as they make my life easier and as I find joy in knitting them, right? And I wouldn't have to limit myself just because I have technically enough socks to wear. Because obviously I do. I don't have an inordinate amount, but I have enough socks, right? And also I always feel like I don't know that many people that I can gift socks to, but I don't think it's right, because I had this sort of conversation with myself just the other day, and then I calculated and I thought, no, it's not. I mean, I don't have a sister that I can give socks to, and but I have enough people in my life that like receiving socks and sometimes even ask for it. So yeah, that's not, that can hardly be a problem. But I thought I'd rather have knit, or no, not for the progress, but for the project, I would rather now have another finished sweater here and, sacrifice 4 pairs of socks for that, instead of, or however many. And I think that is also something I want to focus more on this year. Does it really bring me joy to knit the sock now? Does it serve me, is it my mindless knitting that I just need, period, and that I cannot, sacrifice? Then go for it, But do I really want to knit these socks is kind of the question that I think I'll ask myself more. Because I really enjoy sock knitting, as you can tell, but I would never thought that I've knit 12 pairs of socks. I thought it was, or knit more, but completed. Because I would have thought it was way less. Like I would have said like 5, and next year I want, or this year, this coming year now, I want to, well, knit whatever I want to knit, but just be mindful. And I don't want at the end of the year be totally surprised and be like, oh, I wish I could get some of that knitting time back and invest it in that project, And I mean, that's probably how you're always going to feel as a knitter, because you always wish you had more time to knit, right? It's never enough time in the day to knit, but at least for me it isn't. But I hope this makes sense. I don't regret a stitch, but I would still like going forward to gently remind myself, oh, you also wanted to knit on a sweater, or that sweater, or a new sweater, and there's a lot of stockinette and many sweaters, or there's many patterns that you can also, after an hour, go into autopilot. Once you've gotten the pattern down, you will just pick up the project, blah blah blah. So often it isn't as mind-boggling as you think, right? And you just have to step over this initial hurdle and then just keep going monogamously with your project, and it's really easy peasy. But yeah, maybe that is also to do with us like really arriving at our new place, at our new home, and our new life. Really, it's a completely new life. And I think it kind of with every day that we settle in more, and like with everything that progresses on the construction side and in the garden, and with everything that we have, like with every other project that we have going on the premises, kind of, and in our lives, I also want to work my way back to knitting more confidently, is what it comes down to, right? Because I don't want to shy away from a pattern, because I know I can tackle it, and because I know I can do it. And if I don't want to knit that sweater now, okay, then I really don't have to. But if I try to just avoid a moment of confrontation with the unknown, then I do want to push myself this tiny little bit, because it's so worth it, and it's not so hard, and I want to get back into that groove. I don't want to be forever stuck in that very cozy place where knitting is just there to comfort me and just there for stress relief. But I want to, work my way back to that place where that is true, and also it gives me something to, like, it is a place where I can learn a little something or focus for 10 minutes, and then work on projects that are distinctly different from one another, because a sweater is different from the next sweater, and that's different from the next sweater, and you will remember them, I think, much more as like individual experiences as compared to socks, because those for me are somewhat interchangeable, which you can tell in the experience. I mean, which you can tell by the fact that I so underestimated how many pairs of socks I knit. I was really like, what? 12 pairs? And I looked through them and I thought, yeah, that's right. But how can that be true? So, um, I don't think I think I've told you like all the individual stats, and that is everything that I wrote down. Um, but that was just interesting to me. And now for the first, so change of subjects. For the first year ever, I'm doing the 30 days of yoga with Adriene. And that is so fun. I love it. As I knew I would. There's a weird noise back there. I really enjoy it. And I haven't done yoga in quite a while, but I feel it's a practice that is really there for you if you're more advanced, but also there for you if if you want to get back into a routine at all with yoga. And I enjoy it very much. So yeah, I'm happy to report that that's what I'm doing, and I'm absolutely dead set on finishing those 30 days. And then I thought maybe then I'll go back into my yoga schlump and not practice at all. But I thought maybe I could do the next 30 days, like last year's 30 days in February, and then like 30 days of yoga in March or something like that. And until I really am back to at least practicing twice a week or something like that. So I don't know. I'll see it. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But yeah, I'm just happy to report that yoga with Adriene, as always, brings me a lot of joy. And apart from my yoga intentions for the year, I don't have resolutions, but I do like to check in with myself and think about what do I need for the next year? Where do I need help? Where do I need guidance? Where do I need more attention? Also, like in terms of, do I need to get physical therapy? Should I go to massages more often, right? Do I need help in that respect? And what do I want to continue doing next year, and are there things I would like to change? Like now, do I want to gently push myself or remind myself that I want to knit more sweaters, when I have the energy? And then just have this in mind as a sort of set of intentions, not so much resolutions, because for me that's never worked. And I do want to finish some works in progress because Chelsea, I told you that yesterday, is of Legacy Fiber Arts, is doing the Frogger Finish make along, and the more projects I get off my needles, the more projects I want to get off my needles. So I do want to keep working on some older projects for like a more instant sort of gratification, because a lot of the projects of the respective project is already done, right? So I don't need to put in a whole lot of work to have a finished object. And also just as a sort of control mechanism, so that my basket of whips isn't absolutely overflowing, because it's also got to do with keeping the upper hand on clutter in the house, which on a construction site, which this basically is an important thing, to do. So I don't want my knitting situation to kind of stress me out in that respect. So, yeah. So that's what I want to do. I'm looking at my notes because because I forgot the thing and now I read it. I want to make, and I'm so inspired by Skåberglädje or Skåberglädje. I don't know how to pronounce that. But there is a woman on Instagram. I mean, I say a girl because she's younger than me. But she, and I've now gotten to an age where I consider myself so old that a girl as young as she is sort of like a girl, but obviously she's a grown woman. And I like to follow her. I think she's very inspiring in her knitting and in her attitude towards things. And if you see her page, you will probably have seen her things because some of them are really trendy right now, like the project bag knit out of your swatches and stuff. And she's knitting on a cardigan using all of her scraps, and then she holds them double with, I think, white mohair to sort of blend the colors together, right? And that is not a new idea per se, but I thought maybe I should do that and really do it. Like with every scrap that I have, work it in there without bothering whether the colors are a perfect match or, you know, but just do it already. Just work it up, you know? And if I really did that, I might actually make pretty fast progress, and that would also like not be a tiny size needles if you hold those together. So that might be such a fun piece to wear, you know? I'm thinking of starting one of those because I have a sweater's quantity of mohair that I intended to use for something else for a sweater, but then I swatched for it and I would have had to have gone down to like a 2.5 millimeter needle, which I really didn't want to do because it would just have that would have been these needles, and it would have taken me forever to knit this, and I didn't. It was not what I thought this project was going to be, and I lost steam on it completely, like totally 100%. And I thought maybe if I took this yarn and held it double with whatever came my way, that could turn into such a fun cardigan or sweater. I'm not such a cardigan person. I mean, I am, but not like a button-down cardigan. I love those oversized, super big, comfy cardigans, but maybe I will turn this into just a top-down raglan. That could be fun, because then it's a no-brainer. Then I don't need a pattern. I don't need anything at all. I can just go, and it's just going to fit. The only thing is that I don't enjoy stripes going, you know, with a raglan and then going up. But maybe it would look fun because the stripes wouldn't be as clear cut, but more like blend in to one another, you know, with the mohair. Something to think about, but that is an option. You know, that's something I thought about doing, and maybe I will do it this year. Then I want to, when I'm on the topic of big cardigans, I would like to knit the Big Cozy Cardi by Andrea Mowry. If you don't know it, I'll link it down below for you because it is amazing. My voice left me there, but it's amazing. And I really want to make it. It was love at first sight. Let me tell you that. I've gone over color combinations in my head forever, and I know the shop where I want to get the colors, and I'm proud of myself for not buying them, you know, as soon as the pattern came out. So not buying the sweater or cardigans quantity at the time. But I know this is a project waiting to happen, and this might be the year. Maybe I'll cast it on in August. That could be fun. Oh, that would be so fun. So if I now say I could cast this on in August, it makes me so, you know, it makes me so anxious to get to August already. So maybe this needs to happen earlier in the year, or maybe this is the perfect project for like down the line. Anyways, it was just something that I wrote down. And then I have this, I'll link it for you, but I've worn this on several episodes too, like a t-shirt, a knitted shirt for summer with like this lace panel up here, and then it's just stockinette, and it's got a chevron edging on the sleeves and on the bottom. It's called Cristallo, and I have two versions of this. Like I've knit this in gray, and like in a charcoal gray and in a tealy turquoisey color. Beautiful, both of them, with the same very light pink for the lace. And I've talked about it before that I think I want to knit more of these, and I was just recently looking for color combinations because the season is coming up for those Sure, it's not that I need more than two, but the yarn is a delight. Really, it's knit out of the Rero Natura Penelope, which is a perfect yarn, and it's the perfect yarn for that project. Period. You know, and it's also just such a joy to knit with, and an even bigger joy to wear. You can wear this next to skin, and it's just absolute heaven. I mean, it's beautiful, and it's relatively affordable due to the fact that you don't need that much, and it's like there are hardly any sleeves there, and it's not that expensive. So I was pondering 2 other color combinations, and I'm not quite decided yet, but I might cast on. I might buy the yarn and cast on, or I might postpone it a little bit. I don't know. But as soon as, in 3 months' time, I'm going to run around in those constantly, I will, maybe a bit later than that, maybe in 4 months' time, I don't know. I will feel the urge to knit more of those. And maybe that's when I should do it. I don't know. I'll just see what I see. And then I want to practice gratitude more this year to counter the overwhelm that I often feel with everything changing in my life. And I want to remind myself of the things that I really am very grateful for. I think I'm a very grateful person. It's nothing that I need to practice, really. It's more that I need to practice making it such a part of my everyday again, because it used to be, and now I was so overwhelmed and tired and exhausted, and you kind of sometimes lean into that, right? And I want to, with reminding myself of, doing a little gratitude practice exercise, something like that every day, to kind of pull myself out of that mindset a little bit more and be more present with other things, or like sometimes it just helps to know that you feel a certain way, but that you also have more perspectives within yourself, right? That you can to just make yourself aware that this is one aspect of a bigger picture, sort of, and that's what that's going to be for. And then I wanted to tell you what I have been watching, but hold on, I need to quickly count my rows. And then I wanted to tell you what I've been watching, like I said, and I can only remember now what I've been watching over the last few weeks. So I'm watching the new season of The Crown. I watched the first half of the season when it came out, and then I resumed when the rest came out. And I haven't finished it yet, so I cannot really say anything about it yet. I don't know whether how happy I am with it, but it's fun to watch. It's quite an intense show, I feel like. So I don't watch it. I don't rush through it because I really need to be in a mindset where I can focus. And I do enjoy it. I think the actors are amazing. And I'm with one storyline, I'm kind of waiting to see where it goes, which is weird because how everything turns out, right? But maybe not where it goes, but how they portray it. So, but yeah, I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it, is what I'm saying. And I have started rewatching The Big Bang, or The Big Bang Theory. I don't know. In Germany, it's The Big Bang Theory, but it might just be The Big Bang. Everywhere else, I don't know. I've obviously watched this. I've watched this when it was on, which is years ago. And I think I've watched almost everything. But at the end, I will have. Over the course of years, I will have gathered episodes here and there. But in the end, ended up to having watched almost everything. But at the end, I kind of lost it. I lost track. I mean, I didn't really focus on it anymore. I remember, I thought I'd seen the last episode, but my husband just recently told me that there is an entire series after, like an entire season. And I was like, honestly? Right, because I was so sure. And he was like, no. This was not the end, apparently. So now we are rewatching it. I am. He's rewatching it with me when he's there, and he doesn't when he's not, so I just keep watching. and yeah, so that's the show that I'm currently watching, which is just the sort of entertainment that I can make space for in my mind right now, that I can stomach at night, just very easy entertainment, but I do enjoy it. And sometimes, you get the feeling that now it's time to rewatch a certain show that you haven't watched in a long time, and that was that for me. Okay, guys. And I think that is it. That's all I wanted to share in my little, I don't know, sit and knit that I'm doing right here. So I hope that you enjoyed hanging with me for a little bit. If you, do let me know whether you have a way to sort of set intentions for your year as well, or whether you do resolutions or neither. And if there's a good cardigan pattern recommendation that you would like, to share with me, then leave it in the comments for me. That would be super cool, because I think it's just about finding the right cardigan. And the one that I have in mind for this scrappy project, it's just not quite what I'm looking for. Anyway, so there's a whole lot of show notes to put together so that you can find all of the links and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll pack up this project now and put it back in my little cozy. And I'll talk to you soon, I hope, as soon as I can. I hope you have had a good start to the year, and that you're working on whatever it is that makes you happy, and you're not too crazy about, stats and where you stand with your works in progress, and whether you have so many and others are finishing like crazy. I'm right there with you. I also have a lot of works in progress, and some of them overwhelm me for the mindset that I would have to be in, not because they're there. That's okay. So you're not alone, friends. Okay, take care. Like and subscribe below if you haven't already. Come back if you want to. I'm happy to continue sharing my knitting with you and my thoughts, and I'll be back soon, I hope. Take care, happy knitting, and I'll see you then. Bye.